Welcome back to Royals Weekly. I am your host, Marcus Mead, and joining me as always, he's not a conspiracy theorist, but he is pretty sure goblins are real. My brother, Mike.
I'm for a fact 100% know that goblins are real. I chase one around my house and my front yard all the time, and then he disrespects me in my home.
Mm-hmm. Drops little dookies on your steps. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day.
You're talking about your kid. Yeah. Little kid humor. He'll get it when he grows up. But right now he doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't listen. He's not a frequent listener. We'll just say that. Welcome to our baseball podcast where we discuss Royals baseball. If you're new to this, it's a baseball podcast. It's Royals baseball. On this week's episode, we're going to look back at a 500 week for the Royals. They managed to go 3-3 this week. We're going to discuss what the offense has been up to lately. It's been pretty hot, and that's something to celebrate, something to talk about. We'll talk a little bit about the offense and where it may be headed, and then we're going to preview this week's games. They got a full slate of games this week on the road. We're going to talk a little bit about what the Royals will be up to this week. If you would like more Royals Weekly content, if you would like to hear more episodes, you're definitely going to want more episodes. All you got to do, you get two ad-free episodes every week. Go to royalsweekly.substack.com. Subscribe to our Royals Weekly Substack, $5 a month. You get a midweek episode ad-free. You get Mike's dropped every Friday ad-free. All the jokes, all the hijinks. You get an article from me every weekend. I wrote today about about the offense a little bit and about Stephen Kolek, who just promptly went out and showed everyone why I'm wrong about Stephen Kolek and duked all over his drawers in the game today. But that's okay. Sometimes the writing is good, right? And so a lot of extra stuff on there. royalsweekly.substack.com. Join us. We're having a ball over there. It's a lot of fun. If you can't do that, if you're not interested, go ahead and rate and review us. We like you doing that too. Leave us an Apple Podcast review. We'll read it right here on the episode. We'll give you a bunch of pub. We'll give you some free publicity. Read it right here on the episode, or leave us a YouTube comment. Sometimes we read those right here on the episode if they're interesting and good. Leave us 5 stars, give us a thumbs up, do all the things that the rating systems can do on whatever podcast platform you use. We really appreciate it. Mike, we're going to start the review of last week with roster news, as we typically do. It's mostly like reliever stuff, just moving guys in, moving guys out. I didn't write it all down because, man, some of it is so inconsequential. I can't really dig into it. I can't. I got time. I can't be wasting my time in that way, right? But they did do some interesting things. They acquired and activated Connor Siebold. If you know him, he's like a journeyman reliever. They also acquired Randy Dobnak, who they sent to AAA, but Siebold has made some appearances for the Royals. Mike, what are your thoughts on getting some new blood in the probably relief pool, but maybe some of these guys might start sometimes? I don't know. We'll see.
It's just a matter of time before we see Dobnak up here.
Do not say that. Do not say that.
It's just a matter of time.
Do not say that.
I assume we will keep shuffling these guys. You say do not say that. We're shuffling Mitch Spence up there to pitch innings every once in a while.
Don't say that either. I don't want to see him either.
But no, these kind of guys are going to be shuffled in and out of this either bullpen and or rotation at times throughout the rest of this year. So get used to it. The offense was going to have to carry the rest of the year probably anyway, or get better to do anything. So it's okay. Just get used to seeing a guy that we just picked up sometime in the last month, starting a game for the Royals or pitching for the Royals. It's going to happen for a while.
So here's the thing. Siebold makes some sense to me. This bullpen needs arms. This bullpen is terrible. He's probably no worse than Mason Black, really. I mean, he's pitched okay since coming in. Dobnak I worry about because he is awful. I mean, there's nothing left in the tank there. Just terrible. Struggling at AAA, struggling mightily at AAA. Dobnak is. And yet somehow they were like, let's get this guy. I'd rather take a guy who's a journeyman reliever and try and transition him back to the bullpen or something back to the rotation. Get creative. I'd do something, but don't go out and get some 33-year-old washed up, never going to do anything, give up 5 home runs in a game kind of guy. That's no fun for me. I don't want to see Dobnak. No offense to you, Dobnak. I'm sure you were great in your day, but I have no interest in seeing Dobnak pitch in a Major League Baseball game. And so Siebold I'm fine with, but Dobnak I'm not in love with that transaction at all. What's the point in my mind? Throw bullpen games. Who cares? It doesn't make any sense to me. But they have to do all this because, of course, they're just very hurt in the rotation, in the bullpen. They are just so injured right now. Mike, the second move we have to talk about, they moved Cole Ragans and Carlos Estevez to the 60-day injured list. Ragans, all the reports are now that it's not good. It's elbow impingement is what they're calling it, but I don't think anybody's got a ton of hope. What are your thoughts on seeing Ragans go to the 60-day? Estevez, do you even remember what he looks like anymore? He's,
no, it was a shoulder thing for Estevez, wasn't it?
I always thought it was made up, honestly. I thought it was just like, well, he can't throw hard anymore, so let's see if we can get him some velocity back or something. But now I'm like, well, maybe he actually is hurt, and that's why he couldn't throw 90. I don't know. What are your thoughts on these two?
Well, the Ragans thing seemed pretty inevitable after the setback, right? So he goes out and throws. Then they announce like a couple days after that, oh, there's a setback with the recovery from that day of throwing, and he's not going to be making his next start. Well, that was like, okay, well, we're ready for the next step. Something terrible's happening, because it always seemed fast, didn't it? Yeah. Like, he's got this elbow impingement thing. They're going to do surgery to clean it up. We had just seen news about Tarek Skubal in Detroit having the same thing, but was going to be out several months. And Reagan starts throwing again in like a couple of weeks. That doesn't seem right. And so it always seemed like, well, there's a hope maybe he can do this. But then when they, went into reality, it's like, no, he has to be shelved again. And, maybe that's not the case, but either way, at this point, can't really count on Cole Ragans to be healthy all that often. And even if Estevez is, you don't know what you're getting.
So. Exactly. Yeah. At this point, neither one of these guys can be counted on in any realistic way. Estevez is probably already done the 60 days or roughly the 60 days. He can probably come off at this point if he were actually healthy, but he's clearly not, or clearly ineffective, or whatever reason. He's MIA in my mind. And so I think everyone has sort of resigned themselves to that notion that Ragans is somebody who may not be back the rest of this year, who this might be some sort of serious issue, and we can't count on him being a part of the rotation that you can rely on moving forward. I mean, that's how bad it probably is. Like, when you consider the fact that he missed a huge chunk of last season with injury, he's going to miss he's already missed a big chunk, and it's going to be a huge chunk of the season with injury at the very least. We've started now like sort of shuffling him out of our mind in terms of making plans for the Royals rotation in the future. And it makes me really, really glad that the Royals, and there were a bunch of people who used to ask, like, why aren't they signing Ragans to a long-term deal? Where's his extension? And I'm like, this is exactly why you don't sign guys like Ragans to an extension right here. It's exactly why you don't sign guys like Bubic to an extension. Makes no sense. If they have a significant injury,
you could throw Pasquantino in there as well. I mean, pitching different monster with the injury front.
He's not a pitcher, but like, same thing. If you can't rely on them to stay healthy, you can't spend huge amounts of money on them. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever, because at any time they could just start getting hurt, and then your money is being literally lit on fire. It's being thrown away. And so, not literally, figuratively, but like, it makes no sense. And so, I think we're all in the place mentally where we're not counting on Cole Ragans. On the good news injury front, or roster front, they did activate Seth Lugo. He came back and pitched in a game in the Cardinals series. That to make room for him, they had to option Mason Black to AAA, who I thought pitched fairly well, but he's got options. So boom, you're going back. Mike, what are your thoughts on getting Lugo back in the rotation and sending Mason Black to Omaha?
Yeah, I haven't really heard, other than that day on the broadcast, I haven't really heard as much of a positive feedback from Lugo coming back that I thought I would hear. Like, everybody going, oh my gosh, this is wonderful that he came back so quickly off of what looked like a devastating shot to the forehead. Yeah.
I mean, UFC guys don't get hit that hard. Like, I mean, crazy.
Right in the skull, like right in the forehead. Just a miracle that it wasn't worse than what it was. The other thing, you never know how a guy's going to react from that their first time back, getting hit right in the face with a 107-mile-per-hour fastball. That man has kids. It's got to do something up here in your head, right? Mm-hmm. Like, something in my brain has to.
I'd be checking out that retirement paperwork. I'd be looking for a printer. I'd be, like, get me. Exactly. What do I got to sign? I got millions. I'm not sticking around to get hit in the face anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was good to see him come out and be strong. I mean, he was 6 innings and 2 runs, I think, in that game. Like that. Gave him a real struggled a little early, which has been a kind of a thing for him, but in that start. But went 6, really strong start coming back from something like that. That's what we want to see. And that's what we're going to need, as he is kind of a guy who, if he doesn't take a liner off the face, despite last year, a little bit of rough injury stuff, he's been pretty in there, pretty consistent in making starts. And that's what we need.
That is what we need. At this point, we need some guys who can go out and give them competent starting pitching, because, the more injuries you get, the more you're reaching into and that's what you're really seeing. Like, we knew the Royals had starter depth to start the year, but the 6th, 7th, and 8th guys are the 6th, 7th, and 8th guys for a reason. They're not as good as the 3rd, 4th, and 5th guys, right? And so when Luinder Avila goes out there, I'm happy with some of the stuff he's done, but I also know that like 1 every 3 starts going to be pretty terrible. We saw Stephen Kolek go out and just pitch awfully today. It was terrible, right? Like, and so you sort of see, I'm going to give it to you every single time I can.
Taking shots at me.
Every single time.
He knows I like Kolek, and so he's just going to pick on him the whole show.
But that's just it. Like the guys who are filling into this rotation aren't going to have as consistent keeping the Royals in the game as Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha, as Bubic would have, and stuff like that. And so, the fact that they can get Lugo back, that's another guy who you could reasonably count on to keep you in a baseball game. I mean, think about in today's game, if the starter, I'm not going to mention him because Mike's sensitive. If the starter had only given up 5 runs instead of 9, right? Like, maybe the Royals win that game, right? Because their offense crushed today. So yeah, it's good to have Lugo back for those reasons. Black, I've been happy with what he's done for the Royals, but he was brought in to do this thing, to sort of shuttle back and forth between Omaha and be, what they need him to be as a reliever, give him a lot of innings, at times, go multiple innings and sort of be quality, which I think he has been, but, not any sort of back end elite guy. And so you're not going to be worried if you have to send him back to Omaha for a little bit. On the field last week, it was a real mixed bag for the Royals. The offense scored plenty of runs, but the pitching issue pushed them into a 3-3 week, bringing the overall record to 32-46. That is still last in the AL Central. They lost 2 of 3 to Washington in Washington, came back and won 2 of 3 from the Cardinals, dropped a chance to sweep them today. Mike, even the rotation is starting to show the chinks in the armor after all these injuries. How do you feel about last week? How do you feel about the way the pitching and the hitting has looked?
Well, the pitching has looked, in a sense, kind of what I thought it would. When I look at them in isolation, I go, oh, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. Stephen Kolek's going to have a blow-up start on occasion. He's the 7th guy in this rotation, or he's that kind of guy, especially he's the kind of guy where several things he's got like 3 aspects of pitching. 2 out of 3 have to go right for him to have a good start. He's just pretty good at getting those 2 things to be working for him. Sometimes all 3, but when only one thing is working for him, he's going to get pummeled. We've seen it from Noah Cameron too. Mm-hmm. Noah Cameron, when he's giving up home runs, gets pummeled. When he's putting guys on base himself, gets pummeled. For Kolek, it's a similar thing. I don't know if it's quite to the extent of Noah Cameron, but it's a similar thing. So I expected some of those things. I expect the bullpen to Mastrom to be giving up. Daniel Lynch gave up a 3-run home run that really cost this team this week. I don't want to say I expected it because he has been good and I think he is better, but did anybody feel like he was immune to that? I mean, I don't think anybody felt like he was immune to that. So I don't think we saw anything this week that surprised us, because I think we thought the offense could be like this if some of the things that happened this week happened. And those things happened. Jack hitting for power, Carter Jensen contributing. Now, we probably didn't expect our best offensive player and a top 5 offensive player in the league go down and us still be able to score. I don't know if we saw that coming, but I think this is the kind of week we thought we might have if a lot of our pitchers were hurt. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's interesting is so I'm glad that we're finally seeing the offense be what we thought it could be. If Jack Caglione blossomed, if Carter Jensen was contributing, if a lot of the guys in the lineup started having better approaches at the plate and getting on base and so forth, this is what we thought the offense could be. I'm still pissed that it wasn't it 2 months ago. I'm still pissed that when the rotation was healthier and when the bullpen maybe wasn't quite as bad, then we didn't have an offense going to garner us some wins at that time, to bank some wins early in the season. And then when the rotation started taking injuries or the bullpen started sucking, we could have a little cushion, right? It took 2 months for the offense to really get going. And as a result, the Royals are out of it by the time they've scored 5 and more than that now, because they scored 10 today. But going into today, they had scored 5.5 runs per game in the month of June. And it's for naught, basically. Like you could score 5.5 runs for the rest of the season. It's not gonna change your playoff outlook, right? And so I'm emotionally. I'm just tell you where I'm at emotionally. Emotionally, I'm not ready to forgive yet.
Just not over it.
I'm not ready to forgive yet. I understand it's good that the offense is doing well. I'm just not ready to forgive. Mike, it was a strong week for some guys. Who was your strong performer this week? I think you're going with the 2-foot putt as usual. I
had to go. Okay, so I looked at the spotlight segment and figured out, okay, we're going to talk about this player later because he's the most important thing right now happening on the team. But I was like, you know what? I still want people to come. We need to hit it even more. Highlight the raw numbers of how good this guy was in this past week. Jack Caglione could be the first slugger this team has developed on his level since Bo Jackson.
I mean, he's a better overall hitter than Bo Jackson was, but he's got
even raw power. Yeah, raw power. Yeah. We've had Bo Jackson. I'm not giving it to Steve Bye Balboni. He had good game power. He had some couple good years, but he wasn't his raw power wasn't where Jack Caglione's is.
Maybe Mike Sweeney, maybe.
No way.
Probably not.
No way. Doubles power for Sweeney. I can't think of one. I mean, you're talking about some guys who were all power and Jorge Soler maybe is close.
We didn't develop Soler though.
Yeah, that's true. But yeah, I got to give you his raw numbers for the week because this is the exciting Jack Caglione that we kind of hoped we would get at the beginning of the year. 8 for 25 this week, a double, 4 home runs, 7 RBI, 2 walks, and 7 Ks. Now, it's not how I thought he would do it. Yeah, it's not how I thought he would do it. I think there's some interesting approaches and maybe give Alex Zumwalt a pat on the back if this is actually his doing. But I think they got some creative with some of the approach stuff, which is allowing him to hit home runs on balls in the upper 2/3 of the plate. Upper 2/3 of the plate is Jack Caglione's area. And you can say, hey, we're going to try and get him to reduce his chase, which they have done some, but that is obviously not the biggest driver of this success. It's his launch angle. The launch angle is tremendously better than what it was. He's not hitting as many balls on the ground. And they're saying, hey, in the upper 2/3, if it's close,
away,
start swinging. All right. If it's close, just start swinging. And those off-speed pitches he is catching out front and sitting in right field. The fastballs, and
sometimes
he's strong enough, he's putting them out to left.
And sometimes the fastballs he'll catch too if he's in an advantageous count and he wants to like cheat to get ahead of one. He'll cheat, get in front of it, and really crush it out to right center.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It's the off-speed stuff getting pulled and the fast stuff getting hit it the other way.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch because, and we'll talk about it more, because, when we hoped and we said, hey, what's the ceiling of this offense look like? We said it's with Jack Caglione being just like the way he's been recently. I mean, not even just the last week. It's been a damn near month now.
Yeah. And I think I'm going to give you a little bit of credit here because you picked up on this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago before I really heard anyone else talking about it. But you're absolutely right about his approach. You are absolutely right. He has become it's like his approach is that he now has a plan for everything they're trying to do to him. Right. Like, whereas in the past he didn't, like, it doesn't always work. A lefty can still come in and throw him sliders down and away. And if that lefty is good enough, he can still get Jack Caglione out. Right. But the things they're trying to do to him, he has a plan for, even if he doesn't always follow that plan, because like, it's tough. If a guy throws you a slider and he's a lefty, it looks like it's a fastball down the plate until the last second. And then it's way off the plate. Right. But he has a plan for when they're going to try and pitch him inside. He has a plan for when they're ahead, for when he's behind, for when he's ahead, all these sorts of things. He has a plan for each one of those moments. And that plan revolves around hitting the ball out of the goddamn ballpark. And so that's what you really want. It revolves around him getting his nitro pitches and absolutely crushing them. And you were one of the first people, the first person I ever heard point out that it allows for him now to hit balls the other way with a lot of power, with a lot of game power potential, especially on fastballs that he's going to drive out. We saw Carter Jensen do that today too. And you wonder if they're not encouraging.
We've seen him do it a couple times too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's just been really key to his success. And we'll talk more about that in our spotlight segment. But I'm talking about Jensen because he's my strong player for the week. If anybody had a better week than Caglione, it was only Carter Jensen. He went 10 for 20. He hit 500 this last week. 3 doubles, 2 home runs, 6 runs, 3 walks, 2 strikeouts, and 1 stolen base. I think he's really settled into that leadoff role. I think he's starting to really understand that pitchers want to throw him pitches up in the strike zone to get him to swing under them. They're doing not just fastballs either. They're doing it with fastballs, but they're
breaking
also
pitches too.
I know. With sliders and sweepers up in the zone too. And so, but he's learning to lay off of them or foul them off. He's learning to sort of take advantage of the pitches he can do damage on. And he's really in the zone, and that's great. Has he still struggling catching the ball a little bit? He's still struggling with that a little. But hopefully he continues to improve the receiving here and there, because offensively he looks like the solution to me in the leadoff spot for the Royals. And I was thinking about this moving forward, like, okay, what's that lineup look like? Carter Jensen, Bobby Witt Jr., Jack Caglione, Michael Garcia. That's your top 4 right there, right? That's left, right. It's left, right, and all very competent hitters. I think that would look very good for the Royals in the future. Mike, and not everybody was Jack Caglione hot this last week. Who is your week performer? Way to bite the bullet and take the responsibility here.
No, I didn't do it because of that. And I know you were going to try and say that. Okay. That's right. I've known this man 40 years. Okay. He's been riding my coattails for 40 years. I just want to say that. Stephen Kolek, I put him on here because I'm saying we're not done. Okay. We're keeping the band together. Okay. Stephen Kolek may have gone 1 2/3 today. He may have given up 9 earned runs in those 1 2/3. Okay. Including 3 home runs and a hit by pitch and a walk and 0 strikeouts.
5 outs. He got 5 outs. He gave up 3 home runs.
Don't care. Okay. I don't care because we're not packing it up. The Stephen Kolek bandwagon is still strong and moving strong. Is his ERA over 4 now because of this singular start? Yes, it is. Okay. But it's going back down because Kolek is going to put in the work, and this guy, it belongs in Major League Baseball. And there was something weird about the stadium today. Everything was flying out to left, and every breaking ball that he threw was staying up in the zone. It would not move. They were all like cement mixers.
Well,
and
there's
guys
something
are just
weird with him. There were people who, I was thinking he was hurt, because a lot of people online were talking like he looks hurt because he looks like he knows he's not pitching. Like he knows he's not going to pitch well. It looked like he knew he wasn't going to pitch well. And I'm like, is he hurt? They brought the trainer out at one point to talk to him.
Yeah.
I don't know if I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything about it, but they desperately don't want him to be, obviously, but he looked it because, like you said, every breaking pitch was a cement mixer right down Broadway. Wasn't throwing the sinker.
I didn't think the plan was that good. Yeah, I didn't think the plan was that good.
Bad.
It was terrible.
The plan was, they was trying to throw cutters and sliders in on lefties, and they were just teeing off on him. I mean, like, it was a bad plan.
Well, they weren't getting that far in either.
Here's my problem. Why aren't you throwing sinkers to those lefties?
Exactly.
Like, sinkers and changeups, baby. Make them hit them on the ground. Like, what are we doing? That's your game. Like,
that's his whole profile, and he didn't pitch like it was today.
He really did.
Too many breaking balls, too many of them left up. It was bad. But that does not mean we're dismantling the bandwagon. We're doubling down. Okay.
That's
still,
what Mike does.
Still the leader of the Stephen Kolek fan club. I can never be wrong.
Have you ever heard about that research that's like cultists don't like abandon their cult leaders after, the apocalypse doesn't happen? They just double down. That's Mike. Mike's one of those guys.
Mm-hmm. That's me.
And so, yeah.
Stephen Kolek cult. The cult of Stephen Kolek.
I'm talking about another pitcher who pitched this week and who I hope never pitches for the Royals again. I think if I get my way, right? Like, and that's Mitch Spence. He was my week performer for the week. It's no offense to Mitch Spence. Mitch Spence, you're probably a great guy, but I don't know that you have the stuff to compete at that level. And so you threw 4 innings last week, 6 earned runs, 7 hits, 1 walk, 1 strikeout. We knew that start would be rough. I think that was the first game against the Nationals. And I remember going into it thinking, well, they're probably not going to win this one. Like, because, Washington has a really good offense. Mitch Spence wasn't doing great in AAA. And so it's like, what are we talking about here? Like, this guy's not really what you want to be doing at the major league level. Not his fault, right? Like, he'll take every opportunity they give him. I'm sure. Why wouldn't you? But not something that I want to see on a regular basis. This is also why I don't want to see Dobnak. Dobnak is no better than Spence. It's one of those things that's like, This is what you're going to do if, you have literally no other choice. All right. That's all I got. Mike, let's talk about themes. It's an interesting week, 5 and 5 or 500 week, some breakouts, some interesting stuff. What's your theme for the week?
I went with a classic, a 90s gem, I believe. I think this is the late 90s, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds like 1998. I hear this band and I think the year 1998.
Exactly. Okay. The band is Everclear. All right. They put out what I still consider to be a phenomenal album. Okay. Great writing from their kind of lead guitarist, lead singer, lead everything. I can't remember his name, but he's got a name. It's from that album, So Much for the Afterglow. It's a song called Normal Like You. And one of the lines is, the Prozac doesn't do it for me anymore. Okay. Great line, first off. But secondly, I believe the idea, and I'm not an expert on, antidepressants or medication used to stabilize one's mood or mental health. Not an expert on those things, but I believe the idea is to level a person out. Okay. The Prozac's not doing it for me anymore because the Royals this week were up. They got me up, and really they started down after those 2 losses to the Nationals. And then we win that. And then we're about to sweep the Cardinals at home just to rub it in their faces. And we get Kolek come out and just kill us in those first 2 innings. Gives up 9 runs in 2 innings. And I'm going, and I'm down again. Like, we don't get the sweep. And then blame-o, the Royals charge back. Today's game was in itself a huge roller coaster ride. Because you're like, oh man, they're going to come back in this game. Like they're going to do this. They get down 2, I think, after being down 9-2. They're down 9-7 at one point.
They were a base hit away from tying the game.
From tying the game in the 9th. Yeah. Yeah. They had, with one guy out, they had 2 guys on. They had 2 chances to tie the game today, or 2 hitters to tie the game today. And, all these guys go off and the offense is really high, but the pitching is really low. It was just a very unbalanced week for me. And so I gave the old Everclear line, the Prozac doesn't do it for me anymore. Boom.
There you go. Great album. Great song. Wonderful band. I too went with a song also from a band that was got big in the 90s, honestly. Actually, before Everclear even did. It's from a band called Not a Surf. It's from my favorite album of theirs called The Wait is a Gift. And it's actually a line from this song that made the album title. But this album meant a lot to me. I was listening to it the most during what I consider the hardest stretch of my life. And it sort of encouraged me to think of that time as a gift and not as the burden it felt like at the time. And I was thinking about this week because, we see the struggle, the losses this year, all that sort of stuff. And then I have to sort of reframe that. And I want to sort of see that as maybe it was a gift, right? Like maybe all the struggle was a gift in some way. So the line goes like this. I spend all my energy walking upright, and I like the masked noise quiet of your breathing nearby. When I accelerate, I remember why it's good to be alive. Like a 25-cent game. Maybe this wait was a gift.
Didn't know you were getting the musical accompaniment.
What I could lift.
You can see him on Fridays at the Boho Lounge in like somebody's gonna put you on a Friday. Wednesday afternoons at the
Wednesday afternoon.
The
cup of soup
pickle hut
down at the
the old button nuster on 54 highway. Okay.
But that's how I'm thinking of this early struggles in this season. Maybe the wait was a gift. Like we had to see what we could lift, We often see greatness born out of struggle. Hopefully, I'm hoping that that's what the situation is. Royals Weekly is brought to you by Eric Oxer of West USA Realty. Word spreading about the hottest realtor in the Phoenix area. This kid's got the know-how. He's got the drive. He's got the thoughtful game, yes, to care and help you secure your dream retirement home. And let's face it, Phoenix is a dream. Sun, golf, baseball.
If you can't have fun in Phoenix, you're already dead. Might as well move to Shreveport.
Yep.
Or be up there with them absolute psychos in Hoboken.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Eric Oxer ranked in the top 3% of agents in all of Arizona for the first quarter of 2026. Why? Because for Eric, it's not about him. It's about you. He's going to spend day and night grinding to find you the house of your dreams and get you the best price for it.
That's important when you're living on a fixed income. You can't be dipping into that Bob Evans budget.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You want plenty of money for Bob Evans.
Find breakfast Eric all day, I think.
I think so. Find Eric Oxer of West USA Realty online at ericoxer.com. That's ERICKAUXIER.com. Or just give him a call or shoot him a text, 480-383-9745. That's 480-383-9745. Be wise. If you're ready to make the move, let Eric make the experience all about you. For our spotlight segment today, we have to talk about this red-hot offense. It looks so much different than it did at the beginning of the year, and consequently, it's getting much better results. Right? In the month of June, I mentioned previously, they're averaging 4.5 runs per game, and that was coming into today.
5.5.
Sorry, 5.5. I said 4.5, but I should have read 5.5, but I don't know how to read. They have the 9th best weighted runs created plus in Major League Baseball and the 3rd best on base percentage. Those numbers don't include today, and of course, they scored 10 runs today, so those are probably going up, honestly. Mike, why has this offense been so much better than it was to start the year?
So I loved this question. I was like, I've dove into the individual players who we've seen do better, guys like Jack and Carter and basically everybody but Salvi and Michael. So I dove into all that, but I was like, okay, overall as a team, is there something we can point to as like a smoking gun? Like this is the thing that really has changed for us. First place I go, runners in scoring position. How are we doing on runners or how are we doing when there are runners in scoring position? Because we documented how bad they were hitting with runners in scoring position early on in the season. So it was like, okay, maybe that just turned around. Surprisingly, not as much as you would think. They're still doing pretty awful. Now they've gone up a little bit, and that's what you find out is that they're doing a little bit better in a whole lot of areas. Okay. Their bat BIP is better. Batting average on balls in play is 331 in the month of June. It's only 292 before that. Okay. So that maybe points to, okay, they're getting a little bit better luck, but you're seeing better on base percentage. They're like top 3 in the month of June in on base percentage. And so they are on base more, and some of those hitting metrics, some of those hitting statistics and production stuff with runners in scoring position is better. Their ISO is up a little bit. So they're hitting, their slugging percentage, all that stuff, kind of the power output stuff. Those are all up a little bit. And so when you combine all these things together, what you get is just more scoring output. And here's maybe the positive thing. It's more scoring output, but I think with still some potential to grow and get better even. We don't have Bobby Witt Jr. in there. We don't have Kyle Isbell in there, although it may be a while before we have him back. Salvador Perez Michael Garcia isn't hitting. You're telling me Michael Garcia is not going to hit for, the whole rest of the season or anything like that? He's coming back. He's going to start hitting a little bit better. And then you're going to see maybe this offense even take another step forward. I think Isaac Collins can be even better than what he's been as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because we're kind of seeing an entire lineup with the type of approach that we used to associate with the Royals' most patient hitters, right? So we see the bat BIP go up, the batting average on balls in play, and you might say, well, that's typically some people mistakenly think that that's a luck metric. Like if you have more of that, you're luckier. That's not necessarily true, right? Like it could be true, but it could also be true that means you're swinging at more premium pitches, and as a result, you're hitting the ball harder and you're putting it in play.
Yeah, go look at the line drive rate. If that's gone up, then it's not luck.
Yeah, it may not be luck, right? Go look at the hard hit rate. Go look, it might not be luck. This might be a thing that's like now and the fact that the OBP and the walk rate are going up make me think that what this is, they're just being more selective with the pitches that they swing at, right? And if they're more selective, they're probably getting deeper into counts. They're probably taxing pitches more. They're probably picking out pitches that they can really do damage on. And we've seen guys doing some damage. We saw Nick Lofton hit a home run today. We saw him.
Got to be the furthest homer of his career.
Has to be. It went like 3 or 4 rows deep.
It went over 400 feet, which for him is a big accomplishment.
Yeah. And so, it's that sort of thing. He's hitting for power sometimes. Carter Jensen, Jack Caglione, obviously hitting for power. Lane Thomas has been hitting for some power. They're getting some power outcomes too. And to me, that's just indicative of they're forcing pitchers to come into their best hitting zones and they're getting their A swings off when they do. And if that's all you really want to do as a hitter, that's all you really want to be. But it takes an approach that's willing to wait for it, that's willing to say, like, I'm not going to go ahead and swing at that edge pitch. I'm going to wait until I see one right in this area. Right. And so that's been huge for them.
Yeah, I think the other thing that's maybe more undersung than that is when they aren't in those situations, you can tell there's a plan. Mm-hmm. There's been a plan that you can see that's been put in place for all of the guys who are like, hey, this is my, what do you call it? Like my out safe plan. You know, mm-hmm. This is my safe out. When things aren't looking my way, I can always do this, or I can count on this, or I can try and hit the ball the other way, or I can, try and, force a bunt down to something, if something's not going my way, I've got another place I'm looking, and I'm going to contribute in some way without just, strike three, walking back to the dugout. So, been good to see those guys, especially the guys that are more role guys, do that pretty consistently.
Yes. One guy who's not a role guy, who has really become the absolute center of this offense, Jack Caglione. We mentioned him earlier. We're going to talk about him now. He's broken out in a big way. We've talked about him a little bit so far, but are we seeing the sort of the ceiling we've talked about previously in June? Is this as good as it gets for him? If so, great, because I just can't imagine somebody getting better. He's got a 200 weighted runs created plus coming into today in the month of June. It only went up today because he had 2 home runs and at least, I think, 2 walks too.
2 walks. And so too, yeah.
His weighted runs created plus for June is off the charts here. Is this a ceiling of Jack Caglione?
Well, this is going to sound like a very qualified, like weavy in and out answer, but I think and hope we are seeing close to what I see as the best evolution of Jack Caglione, right? I see his best evolution as being a guy who's a power hitting, run producing guy who can do it in many different ways because of how much he wants to swing. I think that's kind of where you're looking at, and that's kind of what he has become. And I think if you cement in and he becomes more and more comfortable in this approach that he has, now, the approach that he has and has had success with will continue to be tested. If guys are like, okay, we're not going to give him stuff up and he can't adjust to that and stay disciplined in it, then that's going to get tested. But if this is him, if this is the Jack Caglione that we get moving forward, I think it can get even better because honestly, the whiff rate is really high. The chase rate is still pretty high, those types of things. But this approach can allow him to really thrive. And if he can, it's a game changer for this Royals lineup for a very long time.
Yeah, it's interesting because they're already starting to not give him stuff to hit. You saw some of it in the game today where they were like, especially at the very end, they really wanted no part of him toward the end of the game when it was starting to get close again. They were like, we're basically going to pitch around him. They didn't walk him, but they intentionally, but they did walk him. Right. And what was interesting to me is in the very first inning, the Royals are down, 5-0, I think at that point, they're down big after the top of the first. And he comes up with a couple of guys on because I think they got their first 2 runners on. And previously in this situation, you would have seen Jack really eager to get a hit, score runs, start getting back into the game and that sort of thing. He gets up 3-0, and first off, the patience to take the pitches to get up 3-0. Wonderful evolution in his game. 3-0, he gets a pitch right down Broadway. He doesn't swing at it, which is kind of good to see. That's what we want to see from him is hey, you are down 5 runs. Your priority here is getting on base, right? Laid off that pitch. Then on 3-1, he gets a good sweeper that's on the outer third, lays off it too, because it's 3-1, man. You're only looking at stuff you can put over the wall right here. Ends up taking a walk because he gets a basically non-competitive pitch, 3-2. That was a huge data point for me that he has changed big time as a hitter, right? That he willing to take his walks, doesn't want to be the hero in some sort of big way that's going to get him out of his approach, If he can do that sort of thing and really sort of control at bats, one, they're going to keep pitching around him and he's going to have to, you're right, that his approach will get tested because they're going to pitch around him because at times it'll be way better strategically to pitch around a guy who's hit 5 home runs in the last week than it would be to actually throw him pitches. But if he's willing to just take first base like they want to give him and trust the guys behind him, it's going to create a lot of run opportunities for the Royals. Mike, we're also seeing, it's not just Jack Caglione. We're seeing contributions from a lot of what we would have considered role players. Lane Thomas has been really good. Nick Lofton is above league average as a hitter. Michael Massey's well above league average. John Rave has been very good since his call up. All of them have been well over league average this month. Does that bode well for the offense moving forward?
It certainly does provide like some excitement. I mean, it has to bode somewhat well. I'm going to throw Isaac Collins into that mix too. He hasn't been as good as these guys, but it seems like every big moment he is a part of in some way in that mix. So, but I think the big thing is a couple of those guys in Michael Massey, Nick Lofton, Lane Thomas. Honestly, John Raves is the guy that's like proving me wrong. And it's exciting me to see like, hey, what can John Rave be? Can John Rave be a really good fourth outfielder that we're happy to have? That's awesome. If that can be the case and he's like a cemented guy on a roster, like John Rave's going to be there because he does so well against righties. He can be a threat off the bench late in a game. He, can play all the outfield positions. I'm okay with that. Like that's exciting. It gives me something to look forward to watching this team that I know isn't likely to compete for a playoff spot. For the other guys and even for Rave himself, it's really exciting to say like, hey, can you stick in Major League Baseball? Can you get another contract if you're Lane Thomas in Major League Baseball? Or, Nick Lofton, when your arbitration years are up, is another team going to want you on a Major League deal? All of those things, like, can they answer those questions and be not only valuable members for this team this year, can they cement themselves for that roster next year in a role of some sort? And for some of them, it's literally, can you continue to play Major League Baseball? I mean,
yeah. And 3 months ago, I don't know that we would have answered yes necessarily to that. It's looking a lot rosier for guys like Lane Thomas and Nick Lofton.
Is John Rave a major leaguer? Like had he come up and just bombed? That's strike two. He had a chance last year, didn't do great. This would have been 2 years now. He didn't really show out, and he's getting older as a prospect. So
yeah, I think what these role players having success is, I think that says a lot about what they're trying to do as an organization. They seem to understand that having a good approach will get them a baseline of production from these guys. And their role players have at least started to understand that, like, if we don't have a baseline of production, they're not going to let us play. They're not going to roster us unless we're walking at 12%, because take Isaac Collins, take Nick Lofton, right? Like, they don't hit the ball hard enough to produce power with their bat. There's not going to be offensive potency from their bat just swinging all the time. They have to get on base. Like, getting on base is their number one priority for this list of guys. Maybe Michael Massey is somewhat of a run producer because of where they put him, and he tends to do pretty well in those situations. But getting on base is what matters most to these guys. And a lot of them are walking in the 12 to 15% range, right? Like, Lane Thomas has a 15% walk rate. Nick Lofton has a 12 to 15% walk rate. Like, they understand that it starts with a good approach on this team, and that will get you a base level of production. And so what they want to do is, whether you have a high offensive ceiling or not, the organization looks like they want to get at least a baseline level of offensive production by giving all of these guys a very good approach at the plate. We've seen Nick Lofton's change entirely in the last 2 years. We've seen Lane Thomas walk at a much higher rate than he has previously. Isaac Collins, they acquired because he's an on-base machine, right? Like, these sorts of things are helping them shape an offense that, yeah, it's not going to be like all stars 1 through 9. It's going to be your superstars hitting maybe 1 through 4 or 5. And then the next 4 guys, even though they're rotational, are going to be league average or better because they're going to be put in the best possible positions, and they're going to have great approaches. That's the formula. And it looks like they've gotten to the outcome of that.
Yeah. And best possible positions, I think, is another big part of that, because Michael Massey has benefited from that greatly. Like, yeah. So they're putting him, and Lofton's part of that as well. Where are you putting them in a rotation? They've been careful with Lane Thomas in his own way. He's playing a lot more than maybe we thought he would because of injuries and stuff, but they also try to position him very well. And Rave, they've been careful with, despite the fact that he's had some production as they come up, and he didn't play much. He didn't actually play that much this past week. And so I think both of those things, as you mentioned, are extremely important. And if you can get that 24th and 25th and 26th guy on your bench to be a baseline of 90 or above weighted runs created plus. Like you're going to come in here and you're going to give us something offensively. You're not going to be a black hole. That's huge. That's what good teams are.
That's the Rays, man. The Rays have been doing this for a long time, right? And so, they're just trying to follow that model. Mike, is this the offensive profile you imagined for the team? And do you hope that it becomes sort of the organizational model to do this sort of thing?
It certainly is if Jack can keep it going, and Carter as well. Carter's got an 861 OPS in June. His on base plus slugging is 861. That's fantastic. It's interesting to see if you think these guys it's interesting to see this because think about the guys who are not currently here. Guys we all considered linchpins at least of the offense, and Bobby Witt Jr. and Vinny Pasquantino. Right? Kyle Isbell was one of our most consistent offensive performers in the month of April and May, and now he's out as well. And so you're saying, okay, we're doing this on the back of those two young guys and some role guys, right? Two young guys and role guys, because Salvador Perez isn't hitting either, and neither is Michael Garcia right now. In June, they've been a little disappointing. Salvi all year, obviously, but that bodes well for the future. That's the kind of thing you want to say, okay, if we can develop that system that you just talked about, where your role players give you some sort of consistent offensive production, and you have the Jack Caglione, the eventually Bobby Witt Jr. back, the Michael Garcia, Carter Jensen to lean on, that seems like a pretty stable offensive core to me.
Yeah, and what's interesting is, like, we've talked about how their minor league system doesn't have a ton of, Jack Caglione, it was produced by their minor league system. So was Carter Jensen, and they're great. They're cornerstones of an offense. But after them,
so was Bobby Witt Jr.
And I feel like people don't give enough credit. They've produced Caglione, Jensen, Bobby Witt Jr., Michael Garcia, Salvador Perez. Their system has produced all of these guys. It's not like they went out and bought a slugger for the center of their lineup. But
what has been their biggest deficiency? That's the thing.
Well, until now, it's been offense. But so at some point, we're going to have a conversation about hey, bringing in Connor Dawson, and I want to give credit to the other guy, but I cannot remember his name right now. Mike, do you remember his name? Michael,
no, but I'll
look it up real quick. Bringing in those two new assistant hitting coaches looks like it's paying the dividends that we thought it would. But we do have to note that they don't have a ton of those cornerstone-like offensive pieces after Caglione and Jensen. It doesn't look like there's anybody in AAA who's going to be that. It doesn't look like there's anybody in AA really who's going to be that, right? But they do have quite a few guys who look like they might be able to fulfill that role player position, that role player role, and say, hey, maybe Peyton Wilson can be this. Maybe Brett Squires could be this. Maybe Carson Rocafort could be this, right? If they can, they don't necessarily need a lineup full of those, but organizationally, they might already have in-house what they need to fulfill those role player roles. And then, you're getting a bunch of offensive production, even though you didn't have those top 100, excellent hitting prospects.
Yeah. Marcus Thames.
I should be able to remember his name. It's the exact same as mine. Yes. It looks like the hiring of Marcus Thames, and Connor Dawson has paid significant dividends. Mike, what household chores do you refuse to do yourself?
Window cleaning, pressure washing, and most importantly, gutter cleaning.
And why is that?
Every time I try to wash the windows, I end up putting on some sort of weird water show for the neighbors, and I don't know why.
I know why.
It's very erotic.
If you're wise, I put the word erotic in that joke for originally, but I thought you might balk at that word, and then you throw it in there yourself. Anyway, if you're wise like Mike, reach out to the professionals at Window Wolf for all your window cleaning, gutter cleaning, and pressure washing needs. Window Wolf is a locally operated small business with all the professional know-how to keep your feet on the ground and your house or business shining bright. I've known the owner of Window Wolf for years, and I can tell you there's no one more reliable for high-quality service. Plus, Window Wolf is revolutionizing home maintenance with their new instant price calculator, which gives you a free quote without a home visit or entering a bunch of your personal information. Window Wolf is making the process easy and the price affordable. And for a limited time only, you can get 50% off when you book using the instant price calculator. Just visit windowwolf.com. That's windowwolf.com and use the code Royals50. That's Royals50, no spaces, when using that instant price calculator, and save big bucks on quality service.
I can't stand when I got to enter my personal information or get a home visit. It's like, let me hide behind my screen in peace and anonymity.
Why you got to come into my house? I hate that. Like, stay out of my house. Be smart. Let the pack handle your pains with Window Wolf. The Royals hit the road again this week to face two difficult opponents, the Tampa Bay Rays and the Chicago White Sox. No off days, so they'll play 7 days this week, as the Rays series is a 4-gamer and the White Sox is a 3-gamer. Mike, tell us about that Tampa Bay and what they're up to besides fighting swamp ass 24/7.
That's why people tune into our sophisticated baseball podcast, because we use high-level terms like swamp ass.
Have you been to Tampa Bay? It's awful.
I have not.
There. It's so swampy.
I have not. The poor afflicted people of Tampa. I'm so sorry for your fight, your struggle. Where's their telethon? Where's Swamp Ass's telethon?
Royals Weekly who live in Tampa. Royals Weekly Weirdos who live in Tampa. Write in and tell us what it's like there.
That reminds me of one of my favorite lines, or a Tampa line from Happy Endings. Tampa's not a place you go; it's a place you end up. That's a good one. Anyway, the Tampa Bay Rays know what they are doing, ladies and gentlemen. They are always fighting in the toughest division in baseball, one of the toughest divisions in baseball, in the AL East, with no money and no interest from fans, or little interest from fans. But they are currently second in the AL East with a record of 43-31. So they're good. Going to be really tough pitching matchups to start this series as well. In game one, we've got Michael Wacha versus Drew Rasmussen, the 30-year-old righty out of Oregon State, having a phenomenal year for the Rays. 2.59 ERA with a .88 whip. He's got a very good cutter that he leads with, but maybe the best four-seam fastball in Major League Baseball so far this year. It's a 96-mile-an-hour four-seamer, 99th percentile in fastball run value for Rasmussen here.
That's his four-seam and his cutter, though. It's actually the cutter.
Oh, because it's both. Okay, Gotcha. Well, the four-seamer has fantastic numbers as well.
Yeah, all of his pitches have good
so
numbers.
Good.
They're all good.
Sinker, changeup, curveball, sweeper. This guy's just a really, really tough guy, and he doesn't walk anybody. 4.1% walk rate for Rasmussen. So going to be a tough matchup on Monday, but Wacha should keep us in the game, and maybe we can make some magic happen. Game 2 is a tough draw, too. It's Lewinter Avila versus Shane McClanahan, the 29-year-old lefty out of University of South Florida. He knows a little something about some swamp ass.
Oh, yeah.
And people of South Florida, they know.
They know.
3.33 ERA and a 1.23 whip for McClanahan this year. Four-seam fastball is what he leads with at 95 to 96 miles an hour. Changeup, slider, curveball. The off-speed and the breaking stuff has been extremely effective, but the fastball is pretty average. A lot of ground balls at 49.5%, which is the 81st percentile in ground ball rate. This scares me a bit because McClanahan is a lefty with a really good changeup. And that does not strike me as something that the Royals are going to thrive against. So it's going to be a really tough matchup there too. Game 3 is an interesting one. It's Noah Cameron versus Griffin Jax, the 31-year-old righty out of Air Force. He's got a 3.67 ERA and a 1.13 whip, but Griffin Jax, 1.31 whip. And Griffin Jax, despite having a very cool sounding fighter pilot name, does not have the stuff to match his name. Okay. Not even close. It's a changeup, a sweeper, a four seamer in the low 90s, a sinker, a slider, a cutter, and a curveball.
What are you looking at? You're looking at the wrong line.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one. Sorry. Sweeper, changeup, sinker, four-seamer, 96 to 97, a curveball, and a cutter. His expected ERA, though, is 5.35. So looks like he's gotten lucky. He's been a bullpen guy in the past who's now transitioning back to the starting rotation. I think there's room to touch up Griffin Jacks if Noah Cameron can keep us in that ball game. So I'm excited to see how the Royals handle him. That last game will give us on Thursday, we'll give us Seth Lugo versus Ian Seymour, the 27-year-old lefty out of Virginia Tech with the 4.98 ERA and a 1.29 whip. He's got the changeup, the sweeper, the four-seamer in the low 90s, a sinker, a slider, a cutter, and a curveball. Very soft tossing lefty here from Ian Seymour. He's got a 3.76 expected ERA. He's got a really good changeup and not so good fastball. So yeah, we'll see. A couple touch and go lefties there from Ian Seymour in Game 4 and Noah Cameron in Game 3.
Yes, I will. After that, they're headed up to Chicago. So no days off this week. It'll be a real tough one for them. The Chicago White Sox are the surprise team of Major League Baseball this year. They are 39-37. That's good for second in the AL Central. Their offense is really what's carrying them. They have a 103 weighted runs created plus as an offense. That's 10th in Major League Baseball. They're riding the back of their recent international signee, Munetaka Murakami, who has been excellent, a Japanese import. He has a 154 weighted runs created plus. He drops bombs all the time. He's doing great for him. Sam Antonacci also has doing well for him so far offensively this year, a 135 weighted runs created plus. Miguel Vargas just having another good year at 128. So they have a pretty deep, a pretty solid lineup. Their pitching is not quite as good, and if somebody asked me, why don't you believe in the White Sox, it would be because of their pitching. They have a 4.41 ERA, which is 20th in Major League Baseball. Their starters are real ramshackle. It doesn't look great from their rotation right now. Davis Martin has a 3.31 ERA. Sean Burke, who's kind of had to transition into the rotation for them, has a 3.89 ERA, and he's doing okay, but they're not getting what they wanted out of Noah Schultz, who's now hurt on the 15-day IL. Eric Fetty hasn't been great. They're having issues in the rotation. Their bullpen's also not tremendous either. And so if somebody said, Mark, are you buying stock in the White Sox this year? I would say, no, I am shorting the White Sox because they can't really pitch. And so I think ultimately that will come up to bite them. But it's still a tough opponent. 2 tough series for the Royals this week. I'd love if they got away with 4 wins. That'd be wonderful. Royals Weekly is brought to you by All in Physical Therapy, who don't just offer the best in physical therapy in the KC Metro. They also offer the best in summer speed and conditioning programs for youth athletes who want to make big gains this summer.
Have them sit on their phone or have them get bigger, faster, and stronger? Easy choice in Coach Mead's opinion.
Easy choice for me. In Coach Mead's opinion, he knows. If your child is interested in getting the most out of their athleticism, check out videos of All In's summer speed and conditioning programs on their Instagram feed. And of course, All In always offers the best in physical therapy for post-surgery and athletic injury patients. They offer personalized one-on-one experience to meet your specific therapy goals.
All I want is to be able to turn my torso far enough to play mini golf. That's how bad it has gotten, ladies and gentlemen. I'm stuck in one direction here.
Yeah, well, he's very linear. Learn more about how All-In Physical Therapy can get your body back on track at allin-pt.com. That's ALLIN-pt.com. Or give these very nice people a call at 816-427-5300. That's 816-427-5300. All-In Physical Therapy, your recovery goals are their number one priority. We'll end this week's episode like we end every episode with the Just a Bit Outside segment, where Mike and I get to talk about something that, isn't baseball related. We spend a lot of time on baseball. We just want a little bit of time to talk about something else. We're diverse people. We have diverse interests. Well, Mike isn't, but I am. Mike, what's been happening in your life for the last week?
Well, before we dive into what has been happening the last week, which, as you know, is fruitful because I'm an interesting person. Mm-hmm. I want to shout out for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the dads and myself included, but many, many other great fathers and father figures and stepdads and adopted dads. And
happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, Mike. Thanks a lot, to all of our other brothers who are listening, happy Father's Day to you as well.
That's true. Yeah. I forgot they're all dads too. So, just happy Father's Day to all the dads. Be good dads, everybody. You're doing great. But that's not my Just a Bit Outside. I'm going with something different here. I'm really going to three Just a Bit Outside, to the Father's Day thing, and now this show. I've been watching a new show. My wife and I decided to get Netflix for like a month because there was something she wanted to watch, and we kind of refused to get Netflix because I hate their fact that they cracked down on passwords so much. Because
he's made that refusal like the center of his identity.
Not doing
it's
it.
Like he thinks it makes it cool or something. Yeah.
I'm all anti Netflix now. So, but my wife really wanted to watch one specific thing, so we got it. We said we're going to cancel it at the end of the month. Started watching this show though called A Man on the Inside, and it's a good one. And I think you'd like it even if you haven't seen it.
I've started watching it, but I have.
Okay, it's a Michael Schur.
I love Mike Schur.
Okay. Yeah, Michael Schur, who did Brooklyn Nine-Nine, I believe, The Office as well.
He wrote on The Office. Greg Daniels created The Office. He created Parks and Rec, though.
That's what it is. Okay,
and The Good
Parks
Place.
and Rec, another great one. And The Good Place, which if you like The Good Place, this is not similar to that in any way. Well, I guess it kind of is, but I kind of compare it a lot to Only Murders in the Building on the Hulu show because it's got like an air of mystery to it. Because Ted Danson works for a private investigation service as a 75-year-old man, essentially. It's the catch of it. It's only 8 episodes a season. There's only 2 seasons so far, but it's got that kind of mix of mystery with comedy with like some seriously touching moments, but those aren't so much that you don't want to watch it. Like I'm not big into the seriously touching moments. I like straight comedy, y'all. But it's really good. Like the mystery and the comedy and is really good for me. And Ted Danson is great. And here's the thing. It's not just the cast is great overall. Like Stephanie Beats from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is on there. She's fantastic. Just a lot of other people. Season 2 has Ted Danson's wife, Mary Steenburgen.
She is so funny.
She's hilarious. Steenburgen, whatever her last name is. Sorry to butcher your last name, ma'am. You are funny in everything and great in everything you do. And just a lot of other people that you recognize in stuff that you've like, hey, I know I've seen you in a lot of things, especially if you're a big, like sitcom of the last several years. A lot of these people played smaller roles on other shows and are doing kind of stepping up in this one. And it's great. I've really liked it. I'm almost through season 2 already. I've only been watching it for like 3 days because it just grabs you. So my third thing is just a transition to, we need a Ted Danson Appreciation Day, ladies and gentlemen.
America as a whole.
Because that man might have the most impressive overall sitcom record in American television history.
For sure.
Cheers, A Good Place, Becker, this show. I liked Mr. Mayor. I don't know why it went off. That show was hilarious. If you never saw Mr. Mayor, go back. I think there's only like 2 seasons of it, but it was hilarious. So yeah. Ted Danson can do no wrong.
Obviously. Yes. I'm going to give that show a second shot because of your recommendation. I'm talking a little about something else. It's like, the notion of like making friends as an adult. I've heard a lot of people talking about it. They're like, oh, I'm like old now. I can't make friends now. It's tough. It is hard to make friends as an adult, but it can be done. I very recently sort of made a new friend as an adult through another person who was also a friend. And he invited me out to play golf with him yesterday, and we went out and had a great time playing golf with his brother, and his mother and father were there as like a Father's Day thing. And it was a lot of fun. Then he and his partner came over to my house, and we had made dinner last night. It was just a lot of fun. And I want to sort of say that like I appreciate it sometimes a little bit more to make a friend as an adult because it's a lot more difficult to do. And I have less room in my life for new people because I have friends from my past and things like that, that if you're gonna crack like the roster of my friends, you better be pretty great, right? Because like at this point, how much time do I have for other people? Like, and so, it's just, I want to say that like, just because it's difficult doesn't mean people shouldn't give a shot. And in my mind, you shouldn't like close yourself off to where those friends might come from, right? Like, because they can come from freaking anywhere, right? Like some people get them at work. They have like friends that they sort of pluck out of workplaces. Some people just find them in random places, like that happens too, or through other friends. Like if you vibe with someone, you vibe with them and they're your bud, right? It doesn't really matter where they come from. And honestly, I also think other things like what they're interested in, I also think that doesn't matter that much. Like I think it's more like what kind of person you are. That makes more sense to me. Like, I don't care if this person isn't like, I'm interested in baseball. Almost none of my friends are interested in baseball, right? Like, or a very small percentage of them, right? Like, but we're still friends. Why? Because they're nice people. That's what matters more to me as I get older and older, is like, how good of a person are you? That matters way more than like, are we interested in the same shit? So like we're driving home from golf the other day with this friend of mine, and he's got a bunch of like music on that's like hip hop, rap music. I've never heard any of it, basically. And I'm just like, I don't care. Like, what would I care? That's not what's important. Right? Like, what's important is that we had a lot of fun laughing and hitting golf balls into the trees. Like that was fun. And so, just my pitch to like go out and make some friends as an adult. It's not as hard as it sounds. Anyway, that's all we have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back again next week with more Royals Weekly. If you want even more, subscribe to the Royals Weekly Substack, royalsweekly.substack.com. Until we see you next, be good to each other.
And go Royals.